Oh, yeah. That's nice, yeah.
You're on.
Say what?
We're on.
Excuse me.
You guys are on.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Newton Board of Selectmen's meeting, Monday, January 15th, 2024, at 6:04. Could we please start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
Charlie, you can kind of cross out one of those sevens? No, I can't. Okay.
All right, we will start with citizens' input. Anybody that has anything, any questions or any input about what's on the agenda for the first part of the meeting, not the public hearing. There being none, we will move on to administration. The town of Newton is holding a blood drive on 1/26/24 here at Town Hall. The American Red Cross will be here. Those are driven by appointments only usually. So if you go on their site or if you have their app, you can go in there and you can book an appointment and donate blood. I know there was, it was just on the news the other night on MUR. There's a drastic need for blood out there, that the amount that they've been receiving is very low. So if you can, and you've done it in the past and you're eligible, we please ask you to step up. Mary Jo, election briefing, please.
Hello, Mary Jo McCullough. We all know we have a presidential primary coming on the 23rd. I know you're all aware that either 3 of you or all of you need to be there. I need especially 3 of you there, or designees to sign at the end of the night, and I don't know what time that will be. Tomorrow, Mr. Desmelic and I will be testing the AccuVote machines downstairs, 12 o'clock. We're going to plan to be at the fire station sometime on Friday. I asked Mike to get the new booths down so I want to see exactly how they set up, how quick it can take, and about how much room we're going to need, because I'm not going to need as much room as we usually take, because these new booths take up less space. So we're going to kind of take a little field trip, look around. If anybody's available, you're welcome to join us. Don't have a time yet. I will know tomorrow after I talk with Mr. Desmelic. I just want to make sure we're all set for the fire station, that the chief has somewhere to park the vehicles, that there's no issue with heat and anything else. Just making sure we're all set. We are all set. Good. I think that's all.
You said that's, the field trip is tomorrow?
Friday.
Friday? You don't know what time, though?
No, not yet.
You'll let us-
As soon as I talk with Robert, I'll send out a blast just to let you all know.
So, we can't have 3 of us there, but we should try to have at least one of us there.
I would think you could have 3 of you there. You're not discussing anything, and I'm watching you.
We'd have to post, but.
But that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, if somebody wants to be there
And
for input.
We've already talked about on Monday, the 22nd, one of us will be there, right? I think we already talked about this for setup.
Will it still be transfer station employees setting up, or is it all
Well,
hands on deck, or
what we've been doing lately is all hands on deck.
Okay.
So, like, I was there for setup last time, whenever that March, right?
Okay.
And I can try to be there this time. All I ask is that somebody else goes on the 24th, because just as important as setup is the breakdown.
I've already taken the
Gotta
day
remember,
off
it's
to
gotta
be
come
able
down.
to do that.
Yeah.
It's
And
gotta come down the next day.
hopefully you'll be done counting by the time it's time to break.
I have no doubt we will. This is,
So-
even though they talk about a count, it's going to be an easy count, all right? You're looking for one name on one ballot, and if people do what they're supposed to do, we won't be there for a long time at all. Yeah, so that's, I think that's it.
I'll be there the day after.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to do the
Breakdown.
day
It's going to be a
before.
long night, and honestly, I have not decided yet, but depending, I will probably open my office late, because that's one of those nights that just be
Yeah.
open late. Okay, I'll let you know, but thank you, that's all.
Thanks.
Thank you, MJ. Town Building Capital Reserve Fund, account number 231762, withdrawals. Current balance is approximately $255,600. Jim, you want to talk about that?
Yes, as you know, we've been worried about the second floor of the PD with those sliders for the longest time. In consultation with the facilities maintenance tech, he believes, and I think he knows because he's a risk manager by trade, that all we need to put up are about 4-foot-high metal railings or aluminum railings on the outside of the building, so anybody that opens the door can't step out. And we've got a price of $3,600 from David Noonan Wrought Iron LLC out of Manchester, New Hampshire. The second is involving the concession stand, Greenie Park. I believe I told you guys about that. The work was complete, $5,500. And while that particular roofer was there, he went around and looked at all the dugouts. They're in horrible, horrible disrepair. For a total of $6,100, he will strip the roofs, replace all rotted wood and plywood, and reshingle. So, Mark did try and contact other people. He was successful, but nobody calls back. In fact, he has scheduled a walkthrough with another roofer, and the guy never showed. He stood at Greenie Park for about an hour, twiddling his thumbs. So I guess you could do a total if you wanted to. But Joe, how do the trustees prefer this? A total withdrawal?
If they are to individual vendors, then it would be an individual one.
Okay,
But
so,
if there are two of them on the same vendor, we could combine them as fine.
yes. So I would ask you to, I guess, award the bids to David Noonan Wrought Iron LLC out of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $3,600. Those are the exterior railings. Somebody want to make that motion?
Isn't Joe the motion guy?
I make a motion to award the bid for $3,600 to the firm of, I can't remember the firm's name right now.
David Noonan Wrought Iron.
Excuse me?
David Noonan.
Okay, David Noonan Wrought Iron for the amount of $3,600.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All in favor? Aye. That would be unanimous.
The second request is somewhat belated. It's for Aladdin Homes Home Improvement. They did the concession stand roof at Greenie Park for $5,500.
I'll make a motion to pay Aladdin Construction the sum of $5,500 for work done at Greenie Park.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All in favor?
Just a question, do we need to put in the motion from the town building capital reserve fund? Should we put that in the motion?
Yeah, that's
I
where the
think it'd be a
total
good
withdrawal
idea.
is going to come from. And
So
they
I'd
do-
amend that to read that the funding will be from the Town Building Capital Reserve Fund, account number 231762.
Still second.
And it's still a second by Dan. Dan, we need to put that on the first one also, right?
Yep, please.
You guys are all right with that?
I'm good with it.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So seconded by Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. And now for the dugout roofs.
I'd like to make a motion to pay Aladdin Industries, the sum of $6,100 for a replacement and repairs to the shingles to the dugouts at Greenie Park. Funding to come from the town, excuse me, the Town Building Capital Reserve Fund, account number 231762.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All in favor? Aye. That would be unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And next is resignation.
In your package, you received a resignation from the Director of Finance and HR, Carol Mello. She resigned effective January 10th, and I ask you to accept her resignation.
I move to accept the resignation of Director of Finance and Human Resources, Carol Mello, effective January 11, 2024, with thanks and gratitude.
Second?
Seconded by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. And again, we would like to thank her for her service while she was here. Approvals. Emergency management transfer.
I move to accept and grant payment of, I move to accept the grant payment of $33,323.40 and authorize the bookkeeper to create a check from Newton General Fund to the treasurer for $33,323.40 and to further instruct the treasurer to deposit the check into the Emergency Management Operation Revolving Fund ending in 3025.
Wow.
Second?
Seconded by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have an item for consideration. I guess we've been fortunate because of the weather, but the boiler at the Butler Building, is that Trish, Butler Building? Yes. At the Butler Building is not working. Luckily, it hasn't been that cold. Trish was kind enough to run around, and she got 3 different quotes: Mackenzie Heating, Palmer Gas and Oil, and C&S Oil Burner, HVACR LLC. And we're recommending that you go with Mackenzie Heating as the lowest qualified bidder in the amount of $4,757.94. And that price includes tank removal in the amount of $629.88. However, we're going to lower that amount by that amount because we have someone else that's going to take it out, free of charge.
Are they changing the heat from oil to propane?
Yeah.
What-
Yes.
Okay.
And said funds that have come from
Town buildings,
town buildings.
capital
We
reserve.
just wanted to make sure that we said that before we started.
So just,
Wouldn't it be better to take that out of the 8 Merrimack Road funds?
yeah, that was my question.
Say again.
So, you know, we were talking about it last time, we have those 2 funds, right? We have town buildings, which is broader in nature, and then we have 8 Merrimack Road, which is the 8 Merrimack Road engineering,
Engineering
blah, blah,
renovations.
blah, and which we can specifically use at 8 Merrimack Road.
That
So,
might be a better location then.
yeah, that's
Yes.
what Joe's saying, so,
Yeah, engineering and renovations, capital reserve
yeah,
fund.
And we have
Correct.
more than enough money in there to cover that
it should,
cost.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
All right, so it's going to come from,
So do we need an official motion to get this in?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Okay, so with that all said and done, I move to accept the bid by Mackenzie Heating and Oil for the installation of the new heating service at the Butler Building. And the total will be, can someone do that quick math? The new total is?
Oh my God. Hold on one second. $4,128.06. $4,128.06.
So that amount will be in the amount of $4,128.06, and funding to come from the Capital Reserve Fund titled 8 Merrimack Road renovations and engineering.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All in favor? Aye. That would be unanimous. Anything else?
I'll bring the chief up to discuss.
No, sir.
EMS, maybe, the numbers before we go to the,
Did you want me to contact McKinsey in the morning?
Yes,
Because he said he can start tomorrow.
perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
if we're gonna have that table back there, maybe get like a tablecloth and like a thing in the middle. Yeah, yeah.
All right, Joe, you want to do the manifest? Manifests are not ready yet, so we'll go on to the minutes.
I move to approve and accept the public meeting minutes dated December 7th, 2023 as written.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve and accept the non-public meeting minutes dated January 8, 2024 as written.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
And while we have time, why don't we go over the proposal for the firehouse,
For the ambulance, yeah.
the ambulance?
Chief, you ready?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
What you have in front of you, I brought up, I believe in August before I went out on medical. The deputy brought up, I believe in September. The only things that were added to it was there is no cost for the equipment because we have the equipment. That was one of the questions. The other question was we reached out, the acting building inspector brought up bringing in the FP that did the fire station. I submitted to the board his quote. It's a 3-part quote for him to come in, look at the fire station. Mind you, he already sent the letter, I believe, in 2019 in regards to the fire station, but he wants to put everything on letterhead. One is for him to come in, look at the fire station. One is for him to come in and make sure we can use the first floor for sleeping quarters. And the other one is to look at the second floor to design EOC storage, town clerk's office storage, fire department storage, and sleeping quarters up on the second floor. The total cost, I believe, was $3,900 to do the entire proposal. And if the board approves it, those funds would come out of the Merrimack Road engineering, et cetera, account. My recommendation would be that the board approve that so he can come in, and that way the board can know if you have to do the second floor, if the first floor is good enough for now. Verbally, it was good enough for now, but again, he wants to put everything on letterhead. Okay? The other thing we tried contacting 3 other private companies to give a cost for just in case, worst case, for 2025, 2025, what it would cost. None of them want to step to the table because they don't know if the 5 communities are going to remain within. What we do know is it's public record.
Can you put it up?
The bids that Plastow received from 3 companies just to do the town of Plastow, which you have those numbers. Like I said, Trinity, we asked Trinity a couple of times in writing if they could provide the town.
Revenue?
Well, they won't give you revenue. Provide the town 2 quotes. One, to take, just in case, worst case for 2025, what it would cost for Trinity to do 100% of EMS for the town. And the other quote would have been to do 4 communities if the last biggest town steps away, if they would even entertain 4 towns, and if they were, what the possible cost was for that. They would not, they would prefer to wait to see how this contract goes before even talking about 2025. So those numbers that you have were from the EMS coordinator, the staff at the station with a firefighter, EMT. One would be a paramedic, so the town would have 24/7, 365 coverage with a firefighter paramedic, and the minimum would be a firefighter basic. That is the number for it. Underneath it is the possible revenue. Insurance reimbursement, again, dependent on the call volume and dependent on insurance rates. That fluctuates every year when the town sits, well, the EMS service in the state of New Hampshire sits to negotiate with Blue Cross, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera. So those numbers, reimbursement numbers change.
So kind of the way I view this warrant article number 19 is we're saying to the voters, if you approve this, we're going to go out on our own for ambulance service, right? So
We have ambulance service now. The only difference is we're not staffed. That's the difference.
right, I hear what you're saying. So in other words, we're going to be fully staffed, 24-hour, 7 days a week ambulance service. So eventually, we won't need a contract with an outside vendor, right?
Exactly.
So what we're saying with this warrant article is we're saying to the town, we're starting a new business, so to speak. And this is how much money we need to start this new business. So that number is $4,999 and change. Am I reading that correctly?
Correct.
Okay. And that is just for staffing.
Correct.
Okay.
Per
So-
diem staffing, not full-time staffing.
Right. So we already have an ambulance. We have
Correct.
another one on order, right?
Correct.
So the idea is we can tell people we're making use of current, equipment, because we're gonna have one ambulance, we'll have a backup in case something happens at the same time. So we don't need any other equipment.
Correct. One ambulance will be, just so you know, Matt, one ambulance, no matter what,
Yeah.
one ambulance is going to be advanced paramedic level. The old ambulance is going to be at the basic level.
Yeah. Do we think, because, it's hard to find qualified people for everything these days, do we anticipate the need to train? In other words, somebody who's already a member of our fire department might put up their hand and say, geez, I'd like to get involved with that. Can you send me to training so I can start picking up some shifts? Do we want to put in any money for that?
I would say no to that, because the town, since becoming chief, and even the past, prior to becoming chief, the town has never paid for EMS with the exception of basic level training, first responder and basic. The department has never paid for advanced training, for an advanced EMT or paramedic level training. Right now, the department, we have on staff, not saying they're available, because things have changed. Right now, we have a total of 9 paramedics that are on staff. And we just started the grant. Don't quote me on it, I believe out of the 24 employees on the department, 18 are EMS. So we have about 11, 12 basics. We have a couple of advanced, and then we have our paramedics. So to answer that question, standing here right now, the town has never done it. That would be going into the training account, training budget of the fire department, and that would, the board would have to sit down and figure out how, along with the EMS coordinator. There are some departments that pay for paramedic level. They have to sign a contract to remain with that jurisdiction
Sure,
for
yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
That would be trust me, we've had a lot of individuals ask if the town would pay for paramedic, and we only pay, like I said, we pay up to the basic level.
The only reason I bring it up is, as we've talked about in here many times, is the out-of-box solutions to our problems, right? You see other towns up the road or whatever, they're offering stipends to hire police officers. In other words, you come to work for this, not this town, but that town, and you stay for a year, they give you a $10,000 bonus and stuff like that. So this, I'm just throwing it out there because it might be the opportunity to ask the town to fund something like that if we think we're going to struggle, because we're going to be competing against other towns for this skill set, right? So that's the only reason I throw it out there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but as is right now, that some of these people that are working for the town, they're on the part-time, so they are getting qualified via their original 40-hour-a-week job. That's where their qualifications are coming in, right? To where they're getting certified. That's why we haven't to pay for it.
Yes and no. We have, I know of 4 that paid for their own paramedic license, and that was the requirement to be a career firefighter in Massachusetts. So they went out on their own to get it. Would it have been beneficial for the town of Newton to pay 50%? That's our policy now, that the board approved many years ago, depending on how many departments you're on, is the percentage the town pays. Would it have been beneficial to the town? Of course, paramedic. We had a medical today, you had 3 paramedics on scene. Again, the town is fortunate. Today was an odd day, like I said, there was 3. Tomorrow, there's 0.
What's the cost for that certification?
If I had to guess out of the box, I'm going to say it's about $17,000.
Wow, okay.
And it's almost dependent on the individual. It can take a year and a half to 2 years. It is a commitment that they have. I'm not a medic, but the last person that went through it, we have one that's retesting again shortly. Yeah, they were told when they signed up for it, this is going to be your life, 3 days a week for the next 16, 18 months, if not longer than that. And they're committed to do it. And again, it's extremely beneficial to any jurisdiction they go to. But to answer your question, Matt, as we're standing here, I'm standing here having this conversation, we are competing now.
Right.
We had 3 paramedics go to another jurisdiction.
Yeah, I guess the question is, and you've kind of already answered it, but is if there's anything we think we want to offer, and again, out of the box, maybe it's something we've never done before, but we could take advantage of this warrant article to say, will the town fund additional training for the fire department? And we've, baked it into the whole concept here of warrant article 19 because it's going to benefit our ambulance program. So that's all I'm thinking.
It's already in the fire department budget for the refreshers and license renewals.
Yeah.
That's already built in. They do their training because they're licensed, those that belong to a Massachusetts department that work for Newton, they're licensed through the state, so they hold dual certs. So the town does maintain their New Hampshire license.
So back to the assessments, right, that you talked about earlier, I think that's kind of no-brainer stuff we should definitely have done. We can do it out of 8 Merrimack Road fund, right? Yeah. But do we think there's going to be anything in those assessments that are going to turn into investments in that building because of the fact it's the term that keeps coming to mind is change in use. I know that's probably not a term that applies here, but are we concerned?
Personally, the only thing I'd be concerned with is the change of use of your second floor.
Yeah. But the first floor,
Should be fine.
if, should be.
Well, let me phrase
Are
that.
we fairly confident?
We are doing absolutely nothing on that first floor
Yeah.
that wasn't approved already in
Okay.
writing
All right.
in 2019.
And
We're
that-
doing the exact same. So if the engineer comes back
Yeah.
in 2024 and says something's wrong with the first floor,
Yeah.
then I would suggest the board to bring him in here in a public meeting and find out why it was okay in 2019 or 2018.
Yeah, right.
When he signed off on it. The second floor, we'll leave it at that. That could change.
And that's fair enough. I just want to make sure we don't get kind of shut down before we even start, so.
So if you're going, let's say this gets approved and you're going full-time, 365. How are you going to increase your budget to meet the staffing needs?
It would have to be added into the budget. How? That's up to the voters. I would assume if this article passes, the voters want to do it.
And that would be his budget.
Correct.
So he would be in a position where, let's say it gets approved, now you're funding
Correct.
all of that out of there, and then when we get revenue back from the insurance
do the
companies, you
insurance.
can apply it to that fund.
Correct.
And then who knows what happens in 2025, maybe it's no longer a warrant article, but.
Have you ballparked the number of, like, backed into that number, ballpark? Like how much revenue might have, let's say you take 2023 and all the calls.
That was my next question. How many transports did we do last year?
Yeah, like, can you back into that? And I don't mean
Yep.
to the
Nope, that's
penny,
fine.
right?
I do not have the
Ballpark.
total. Deputy Kane presented the total of transports that Newton did along with Trinity. I do not have those numbers.
I think you're right. I'll have to go back and get that. Yeah.
He should have proposed that when he was up here in September, okay? We can get, those numbers are easy to get. Especially the new software that unfortunately just started this year. We now can make the determination when Newton transports, if it's medic level or a basic level. But Deputy Kane had all his numbers, and that's where he came up with that 100, I think 125 to 150 for 2020.
Yeah,
I believe it was 2023.
He just gave a
Insur-
number. He didn't say how many transports.
Okay.
You have a question from the audience?
Yep.
Yep. Go ahead, Diane.
So if I hear you guys correctly, you're talking about a warrant article, right? Article 19?
It would be,
Yep.
yeah.
Now, you're gonna have to just go through all of this all over again during the public hearing.
Not exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, because if somebody doesn't tune in, I'm just letting you
Right,
know
but-
that you're talking about something that you should wait on.
Yeah, but
we don't have a number
I don't agree, because that warrant article, as we sit here right now, does not have a number attached. The purpose of this discussion, since we had time anyway, was to be able to attach a number to that warrant article in a discussion, whereas a public hearing is more of a reading of the articles and if anybody's got any input.
I can, just quick, in the annual report, there should be a section that says, I believe it says medical. It's this, first one is fires, and the second one is public, it has public assist, lift assist, MVAs, with injury, non-injury. That number there is a pretty good number of what Newton Fire responded to in 2023 under the medical, which is a lift assist to pick up the same person that falls out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning that's trying to make it to the restroom. That is considered through the state reporting, through the national reporting system. That's a medical response. So that is part of it. Trinity, right now, Trinity would be responding to that call. Like I said, so you should have a ballpark number, almost a good number. Unfortunately, due to the software glitch, if anybody has any questions on the total volume, call volume for 23, that's what the stack is in the back. That is the incidents that are backed up through Rockingham County for last year.
So I
That
guess,
doesn't include burn permits and everything else.
I guess where I'm going with this is, So it sounds like we want to put a number in that warrant article of $500,000. And if we're writing, we're not going to do it now, obviously, but when we write the voter's guide and we're telling people what that's for, we're telling them it's for salaries like you have presented here.
Correct.
And then we can tell them based on what happened last year in terms of volume times whatever. Obviously, there's an asterisk, but we can tell people we're projecting we're going to receive this much in revenue to offset it. So.
Correct. Deputy Kane has that half on the EMS side. I apologize, I didn't even dawn on me because I go by, actually, it should be close to what was in the annual report. It should be the second one down that starts with the threes. And some of the fives. The fives, the lift assists, public assist. But we can, that number for that meeting, Deputy Kane can generate that number quick. You can also generate the numbers that Trinity has, but their numbers are going to be way off because if they get canceled, or Newton transports, or Amesbury transports, Trinity doesn't log those in. Deputy Kane can get those numbers.
Yeah, so it looks like rescue and medical was 240 in 2022, according to the report, but it definitely does not break it down any further than that, and that's excluding vehicle accidents.
Yeah, you have listed over here your medical assists and other assists for this year was 72, this past year. EMS calls,
Right?
this is 2023. EMS calls excluding vehicle accidents, 219. So those are the numbers you're talking about?
Yep. Those numbers just don't have the transports.
Yeah, I guess I would just want to know exactly how many transports were there.
Do you want to know that Newton's transports or total? Trinity's transports, how many people? You want both?
Yeah,
So you want
because
total
if you guys
transports?
take
Okay.
it over, it's just going to be, that's going to be your number.
Right.
So it, that's going to be the number that we need to try to focus on, and
No,
It's not an exact science, but it's as
That's a
close as we
ballpark.
can.
Right, because we have East Kingston,
Yeah.
like, I know East Kingston transported me. You have East Kingston, you have Amesbury, you have Kingston, and I'm not sure if Merrimack has come in 2023, along with Newton and Trinity to do transports out. And the only reason Amesbury, Merrimack, East Kingston, and Trinity, in Kingston, is because either Newton didn't have nobody or Trinity was unavailable. Those are the reasons. But we can get those numbers.
Right, but for general purpose sake.
We can get those, that's an easy. I apologize on the EMS side, that is the EMS coordinator. We're on the fire side.
And I mean, that's the marketing end of things, because we have to get the message, with all of these things, right? All the
Yeah.
warrant articles in the budget, we're trying to get the information out there to the people so they understand why we're doing things. But the main goal in this conversation was, what number are we gonna add to that? And I think it sounds like it's $500,000.
It'd be,
What it sounds like.
well, the 499 sounds a little better than 5.
Maybe.
Does that number include the backed out revenue?
It does not, right?
I'm sorry?
He's talking about the projected revenue that we could get.
No,
It doesn't include it,
That
right?
doesn't
No,
include
that
that.
does not
There's no
include,
guarantee.
that does not include insurance reimbursement, and that does not include, since 2016, we've had somebody in the fire station, a duty person in the fire station. When we moved into the fire station, the board approved 2. That does not count what that we're currently paying to have 2 individuals in the fire station Monday through Friday.
So another way to say this would be, this is new money,
New money.
new money. Chief, do
Yes.
you recommend the board lower it to a number consistent with a range of,
Revenue.
yeah, the range that you put down is 125 to 150 from insurance
Correct.
companies?
That's what the deputy came out with, based on insurance rates and reimbursement last year.
So if it's on the high side, the new money article would be 349,320. If you go on the lower side of $5,000, the new number would be $374,320. So basically, I just backed out the top and bottom.
To try to make it more palatable
I believe
to
that
the
would be
voters.
helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
I would go on the lower end if that's the case. to
Be
the
conservative.
374,
374,320.
yeah. To have that little cushion.
Like I said, if it happens the first year, you'll know exactly.
Right, right.
You'll know exactly. I mean, like I said, it has, not only do you have EMS, you also have fire. You have staffing.
You guys good with that?
Yeah, I think that's the way to proceed.
All right.
So when we get to the hearing, we'll
Yep.
change that number?
Yep,
I'll reach out to the deputy to get those numbers as soon as possible, and send it over to Jim and Robin for you.
Awesome.
very
Thank you.
good. Thank you, chief.
No problem, thank you.
Appreciate it. Did we want to, so for the site review, do we want to wait until we have a proposal or a quote for that? And then we can vote on?
I apologize, the phone's already going off, so somebody must have heard something.
It's like we're on TV or something.
If the board decides to vote, because you do have the quote from the engineer, to have him come in, just let me know, and I'll reach out to him for him to come in and do the review, whatever he's got to do.
So could we put a motion together for a total not to exceed $3,900?
I mean, we could, unless we just want to wait the 2 weeks or whatever and get the official forms filled out, like we prefer, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah. So yeah, if you got us that, chief,
I'm sorry?
if you got us what you just offered from the engineer,
You do, you have his quote in writing.
we do.
Yep, I submitted it. It was 3 different, it was like Part A, Part B, Part C. One
Is
was
that in our folder?
900, one was... It was right around the time I sent out the, it was right with the EMS stuff.
That was the 9th.
And there could be something with emails, was the bookkeeper, we sent the payroll on Friday at 9-something, and she emailed me today, she didn't get it, so I don't know if something, you guys are not getting everything. Okay. I'll take a peek at it.
Well, no, it just started.
Had like 14 minutes to kill. That's where we can do the hearing, so,
Sorry, we'll take a quick recess.
could, yeah. Recess always sounds better when you're a kid, though. You know? I would call for the recess.
Yeah. All right, so we're good. We're going to wait on that. So we will close this portion of the meeting and take a quick recess, and we will come back at 7 o'clock as posted for the public hearing.
For those who don't know, you have to start that at the time you printed it in the newspaper, so we can't start it early, unfortunately.